I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast from my head to your ears. And today I'm going to talk about a subject I'm really close to. I'm going to talk about myself. That sounds really narcissistic, really, doesn't it? But I'm not going to be like glorifying myself. I'm going to talk about me and all my glory and faults, and just thought I'd give you a little introductory course on who I really am. So this is going to be kind of weird. I don't know where it's going to go or how long it's going to be. I am the most self-critical human being on the face of the planet. So I'm going to take a break and I'll be back to talk about me. I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast from my head to your ears. And today I'm talking about myself, and that's a subject I know a lot about. And I want to talk about my faults, but I'm also going to try to dig up what I like about myself as well. I think the biggest insult I ever received from anybody that came from someone I liked, and it just really went right through me, and actually we still don't really speak to this day. It really didn't end the friendship. Something else happened, but it really showed how this person observed me. And I thought it was someone who understood me or got me, but it turned out their observation and their little comment they made to someone about me was that I'm and warning, I mean, he used the R word, retarded, in this because it's what he said. I'm going to use the exact words. I was a retarded redheaded guy that everybody loved. And it went right through me because it was said behind my back. And I guess what people say about you is none of your business, but when it comes from someone you really think a lot about or consider a good friend, I thought, is that what you think about me? I was like, that's not me at all. First of all, not everybody loves me. Flat out. Nobody on this planet has everybody who loves him. It just doesn't happen. I have my self-detractors. I have my people that don't like me. I'm fully aware of that, and they really don't matter to me. But when it came from someone that I cared about, it really hurt. Maybe that's one of my big faults, is I'm very easily hurt. And unfortunately, he had no idea that even offended me. I've always been really self-conscious of my lack of success in this life. I was always told I was very smart and a born leader and all these things, and I never really felt like any of that was true. I'm a very, very shy person inside. I have learned to be outgoing because of my job, and even like podcasting, I'm very comfortable doing this from my bed, where I do my podcasting. I think I mentioned I thought about calling this podcast From My Bed to Your Ears, because I record my podcast in my bed, but I digress. But it just really bugged me that's what someone used to describe me as a general rule. And yeah, I'm very quirky. I have lots of quirks and I have lots of faults, and I'm not perfect, but I am perfectly human, I always say. Nobody's perfect, not even people who think they're perfect. I don't like people who act like they're God's gift and who are overly confident. I think that's a big turnoff. I think as a human being, we always should be open to new ideas and new situations. We should have an open mind and an open heart. There are some things that I stand firm on believing, and I won't stray from it. My faith is unshakable. And basic common sense is unshakable. There are very basic things in life that people have fought against. I'm not going to get into that because I'll get in trouble. I'm not here to be political or be offensive to people who believe differently. You can believe what you want, but I don't have to agree with you. I agree to disagree. But back to that being insulted. I am thin-skinned. Yeah, I am. I've always been kind of made fun of in this world, and I guess that's why that took me down so bad. But again, it was not so much what was said, it was who said it and how it made me feel. I thought, wow, if that's what my friends think, it was a horrible thing to say about me. And maybe you don't think that's that bad, but I really do. I'm very quirky. I'm not mentally challenged at all. And I am intelligent. I know I am. I have very deep thoughts, and I have deep understandings, and I'm empathetic, and I'm not pathetic. I'm empathetic. I don't know. If that's, you take that I'm mentally challenged from all that, probably it's from the way I live. I have lived a simple life. I've not lived up to my potential. There are reasons for that. I think I have some issues that maybe have been overlooked in my life because of the fact of the time I grew up in. I've often thought I might be a little autistic. That's a little strange thing to say, but I don't know if you can be a little autistic, or maybe I have Asperger's. I've never been tested for any of that, but I have a lot of symptoms of that. Maybe I'm functionally so, because I have held a job for 34 years going on, and it's not the job everybody expected me to have, but I took it and made it my own, and it afforded me a home and food and keeps a roof over my head. But on the other side of the spectrum, a lot of people who thought I was so intelligent, they really expected me to do great things in life. My idea of great things is really different now than they were when I was on the other side of life, looking, how can I put it? When I was like 21 and looking ahead to the future, as opposed to being 57 and thinking more things are behind me than in front of me. I look and I thought my life is not that bad, and I've got a lot of room for improvement, and not everything's gone my way, and I've had a lot of heartbreak and a lot of disappointments. And am I doing what I thought I would do in life? Hell no, I'm not. I really wanted to be a broadcaster, and I couldn't decide whether I want to be television or radio. But honestly, and I love my media friends, I love you, and I love what you do, and I respect you a great deal. But I'm such a rebel, and I would not like being in a restricted platform like television news or on radio, where you have to play what they want you to play and read what they want you to read and look a certain way. And I don't like any of that. I don't like being held down at all. That does not appeal to me. At least at my job, I get to be my basic self every day. Honestly, I say I'm introverted a great deal. When I'm off work, I stay at home. I stay and watch my mom, and I stay to myself. But I do reach out through social media and my podcasting. And I love, again, that I can podcast from my bed. But I guess this podcast is really narcissistic of me doing a podcast about myself. But a little examination doesn't hurt. I said that at the beginning, and it doesn't. So that's what I'm doing in this podcast, because I tend to people make remarks. I can't believe you're still at this job, and I really thought you would succeed in other forms, and blah 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 blah. People mean well when they say that. And honestly, the friend that said what he said about me, I don't think didn't put much thought into it, but that showed what he basically thought of me really fast. What a shame. It shows he doesn't have very good observation of other people's character. And he's a police officer. Shame on you, buddy. But anyway, God love you anyway, and I still love you. And if you want to shake hands, and it's all good. But it just hurt really bad, and maybe hearing me say that in my words, in my voice, maybe you'll understand that was very insulting if you're listening, and I doubt that you are, but oh well, that is what it is. Let it go, Leonard, and there's to my other fault, letting go. I cannot get over things that are said to me that were horrible. I remember them. I got told recently that I look like a homeless person with a beard by a higher up in my corporation, and it just went right through me. Oh my God, I was so angry. I thought I would never say that to anybody. He could have said it any other way. You need to trim the beard. You need to look better. But telling me I look like a homeless person? Oh, no. I thought, you look like a complete jerk. But that's every day. And at least I can shave my beard. But you still look like a jerk. How's that? You want to talk about my appearance? That's fine. It was a very unprofessional thing to say to me. And I've lost a great deal of respect for this person over the years, and that pretty well sealed the deal. So at least I do take care of I do have some self-pride, even though I may look a little shabby every now and then, but you try working 40 hours and being a caregiver for your mother and trying to take care of everything and getting 3 hours sleep a night and trying to stand and be happy every day and friendly, and let's see how good you look after a while. So, anyway, that's just me being angry. I really hate that people can't apologize for saying really nasty things. I'm sorry is one of the phrases that people just can't bring themselves to say in some situations, and it's really a shame because it's very easy to say I'm sorry. It's a little harder to mean it. But I'm sorry goes a long way into forgetting and forgiving. Or actually, don't forget. Forgiving, I should say. I never forget. I'll carry that one with me to my grave, too. Boy, there I am. I obsess about things. Isn't that horrible? And I'll be honest with you, I haven't taken my meds today. So this is a pretty raw version of myself. And this is why I take the anxiety meds that I take, because I tend to be digging up things from first grade, because I never forget anything that's said to me, especially insults. I've had a lot of compliments over the years. I've been told I'm intelligent. I've been told I could have been a leader. I've been told my favorite is people compliment me on my podcast, which just makes me so happy because I love doing this so much. But I need to learn to shake things off. I wish I could forget things that were said to me. Sometimes when people change, I've had people that I started off as being not liking and then later became good friends, and maybe some of the things we said kind of get pushed in the background. I didn't forget them, but they're not that important to me. I grew up loving Olivia Newton-John, and I remember that poor woman took a beating from the music critics and from the rock world because she was such a, such a nice person, goody-goody, all this stuff they would say about her, if white bread could sing. And she would say she takes note of criticism. If it's constructive, she takes note, and she tries to forget about the other stuff. But I know that had to hurt her, because that woman was amazing and proved herself as an amazing human being with her fight for cancer. So right there, she was kind of she was my crush, but in the end of life, she was my hero. I look up to that woman a great deal for the courage and the taking a bad situation and using it to crusade for cancer rights and all that things. That's the person I want to be. I want to use myself for good things. And if I make you smile through my podcast, that I've done what I wanted to do. So don't put me down for working the job that I've worked in the last 34 years. Maybe it isn't what you thought I would be doing with my life. But honestly, it's not been a bad gig, and it's got good benefits because I made it a career. And don't judge me. My work is what I do. It's not who I am. And I've always stressed that. But I feel like I'm just going all over the map with this subject. But I'm talking about myself, and that's the way my brain works. I just don't like people dismissing me as a one comment, flip remark. I'm way more than that, and I deserve more than that. So anyway, I'm going to take a break. Sorry this is so negative. I'm overthinking, and that's another fault of mine. I'm going to take a break because I've got a frog in my throat, and I'm about ready to choke. I only do this when I'm podcasting. It's so annoying. I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast from my head to your ears. I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast from my head to your ears, and I'm back after a little break, and I'm talking about me, who I am, what makes me tick, what makes me mad, what makes me happy, what makes me sad, you name it. This is a self-indulgent podcast today. I was talking about basically what bugs me and what hurts me. So I'm going to balance that now. I'm going to talk about what makes me happy. What makes me happy is when people get me. When people see through what I do for a living, and we talk about things that are interesting. I have some of the greatest conversations with people that come through my lines, albeit short conversations, but I meet all kinds of people, and I love to hear people's stories, and I enjoy listening to people talk, and I've learned not to interject with personal experiences when they're talking. I know that's offensive when people are trying to tell their story and then you tell a comparison story of how you also had that it's good to just listen sometimes, and then maybe after they're done you can say, oh yeah, I have this is what's happened to me, and tell your experiences. But being a good listener is what I strive to be, and I hope I am. I sometimes people just want to talk, and I'm one of those people that will listen to you when you need to talk. I like that about myself. I thrive on me time. I thrive on being creative, and I thrive on having time to myself. Even like in a quiet room without my animals in it, sometimes I just want to sit there in the silence, and especially after a bad day. But podcasting is I think it's the favorite thing I've ever done. I love doing this. It's hard to come up with topics all the time, and I do get blocked. I can't think to what to talk about. It's very aggravating feeling and frustrating. But always something inspires me eventually, and I'll go at it. I think it's kind of, a lot of people think, talking about yourself, like I said, is narcissistic, but maybe it is. But I hope that you identify with some of these problems, and maybe if you felt bad about yourself, you'll know you're not the only one. I think the fact that I'm empathetic to people, I like that quality of myself. I don't ever, like when I lost my dad a few years ago, I can't go, I can't feel for you because I lost my dad, and there's nothing worse than that, so I don't want to hear about you losing your dad, because I thought I've had that happen to me when my dad died. It came from a good friend, and that really hurt. I didn't think she meant to, but I think she was just hurting, and maybe she didn't want to get emotional. I don't know, but it really hurt when I was wanting to talk about my dad passing, and then I was told to not talk about it. I think when my dad died, I wanted to talk about it. That maybe is different than other things. I wanted to sort out my feelings. Instead, I went for long walks and listened to music, and I made Snapchats, acted silly, and I like that about me, that I can work myself out of a depression, and that I survive. I have a survival mode, and I know what it takes to come out of a dark place. But I also feel that you need to be in your dark place. You need to feel your emotions. You don't need to numb yourself. I think it's a big mistake to suppress things. It doesn't go anywhere. It just festers, and it's good to let your emotions out and be bitter and be mad and be sad. I mean, let yourself feel those emotions, but don't try to live there. Try to find something good to get yourself out. Try to find the light at the end of the tunnel, or even in situations where I can't possibly imagine, like a parent losing their child. I can't imagine where the light at the end of the tunnel would be, but I hope you can find something. I have a cousin who lost both of her sons to suicide, and I know that was, and her mother and father passed, and she had so much loss in her life, and I'm so impressed with her because she's managed to just pull herself out and still appreciate life. I know she hurts every day. I know people who go through cancer and lose body parts, and we have to go on. Life is a gift, and that's our time to be here on this earth, and we have to learn to find our path again and just keep going. I lost my eyesight in my right eye. I was talking about that the other day. I had a detached retina that I let go way too long, and I had eye surgery, which basically was just surgery to save my eye, not to restore my vision. They put a bubble in it, a gas bubble in my eye to keep the eye from collapsing. But my eye drifts, and I have no vision in my right eye. No more 3D movies for Leonard. But I've learned to deal with it, and I've made a joke out of it. And there's times when I wish I could see with both eyes again. But I've learned to see more with my one eye to make up for not having two eyes. That sounds funny, I guess, but that's true. And I like that about myself. I've learned to always think there's something great around the corner. And I know I've crossed a lot of corners and still looking for that something great, but there's been some wonderful moments in my life. I have some great friends. A bad trait of mine is I tend to dwell on the ones that quit speaking to me. And I need to take stock at the ones that have been wonderful to me. I have some great longtime friends, lifelong friends, and I'm friends with my sisters. I love my family. I love my pets. I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast, From My Head to Your Ears. And I've been talking about myself, my good sides, my bad sides. I think a little self-introspection is not a bad thing, and that's what I'm doing basically on a February afternoon on my day off. I'm very, very thankful for my creative side. And like I said, I love doing my podcasts, and I love that I can take boredom and find something to do creatively and make myself busy. I love that about myself. It's one of my favorite things about me. I'm also capable of getting myself out of a bad mood. I love music. Music helps me a lot to get out of a bad mood. I start off maybe with a sad song or a mad song, and I work up to happy songs, and before I know it, I feel much better. I'm very capable of coping with things on my own without medicine. It's just, my anxiety medicine helps me sort out my thoughts just a little bit and not be so negative or concentrating on the negative. Anxiety is such a terrible thing. It's a horrible affliction, and it feels just awful, and I suffer from that a great deal, and that my meds help me a great deal to keep myself from self-imploding. So, yeah, I feel like talking about myself, I almost feel guilty about it, but, nobody knows me better than I do, right? Obviously. I think what I like in people is how I want to be. For instance, like I said, I don't like to make judgy comments about somebody. There's good in everybody. There's bad in everybody. We're all capable of every emotion and every deed that a human being can do. When given a certain situation, it's really horrible. The only thing I don't understand is drug addiction. I understand that you can get addicted to drugs. I just don't understand why you would want to screw yourself up like that. I just don't understand what part of, I don't drink alcohol. I don't like being drunk. I don't like being out of control of myself. I like to be in control at all times. I don't like being high. I don't like drugs. Not, non-medicinal drugs. Recreational drug use never appealed to me. I like that about myself. I'm very, I'm trying to think of the word. I'm at a loss for words. I like to be in control of myself at all times. I don't like to. It scares me to think that I would be out of control of myself at all. I don't like that feeling. So anyway, I think I'm very happy that I'm that way. I like to face life head on and deal with things, although I do procrastinate sometimes, but it's ultimately better to face your fears and your problems and get over them. I'm admitting something I've never admitted publicly, that I don't drive. I've never driven. I drove when I was younger. I had no trouble. I've had a white knuckle fear of driving. Don't know what brought that on. I was always scared I was going to kill somebody. And the examination just scared me to death. And that's along the lines of why I think maybe I have some kind of mental defect. I don't mean that way. I don't know what you'd call that. There's just something in me that makes me scared to drive. And I used to lie about it a lot, that why I didn't drive. But I did drive. I drove my dad's Volkswagen all over the creation when I was a young kid. He let me drive. I was an okay driver. I had a Pinto, and I was trying to get on my feet and drive then, but I never did. And it's been something that everybody's kind of wondered about and criticized me for. Why don't you drive? Why don't you drive? Why don't you drive? It's just another quirky part of me. And I think this fear has actually afflicted several members of my family. I've done very well without it. It's kind of limited me a lot. People don't know that I don't drive. What a weirdo, huh? But I don't. And that's just me. And now I'm blind and I can't drive anyway. So it's just kind of odd that happened to me. I did ride a bicycle. Everybody said, get a bicycle. I said, I would rather walk. There's something about that. There's nothing every little comment was kind of degrading to me. So I just appreciate all the rides I get, and I hate having to rely on people for transportation. Maybe I should have been a city dweller where you don't drive, where you have to take subways and things. But being in the country and not driving, that's never acceptable around here. That's some source of criticism and being made fun of. But, I've been criticized and made fun of all my life, so it doesn't faze me as much as it used to. And also, a lot of the things people say behind my back, I said it earlier in the segment, it doesn't matter to me unless it comes from someone that I care about. But a lot of people don't know you and just make quick assumptions and what have you. But I'm here to tell you I don't drive. I'm admitting this for the first time in my life. I do not drive. I do not drive a car. The money I save on gas, I appreciate rides, and I would like to pay everybody for rides. A lot of people won't let me. But it did hinder me in my job. I could have been in upper management, but I don't drive. So anyway, that's the true story of my life. I do not drive. Ooh, an admission. Anyway, I'm about over this subject, and I'm going to take a break and wrap this up. And thank you for listening to this podcast, and I'll be right back. I'm Leonard Riggs, and this is my podcast from my head to your ears, and I've been talking about myself and all my faults and all my strong points, and basically what the nitty-gritty of myself is. I want to be treated like I treat you, and vice versa, and that's just the gist of all of it. I want, I have some good points, I have some bad points. I'm only human, and I'm perfectly human. That's the whole thing of the whole thing right there, the whole shebang. And I'm only human, and that's all I can be. And I would like to, a little correction from my last podcast about pets. I left out two of the best pets that weren't mine. They were my doggy nephews. I cannot believe I did not talk about Oreo and Jackie. My buddy Brandon Kilman's dogs that were my doggy nephews. They kind of opened my heart to having a pet again. And I did talk about them, I think, in a segment, and I had to redo it. So if I did talk about them, I have not listened to my podcast back all the way through. So I'm repeating myself, but I don't think I included it when I made the correction. But Oreo and Jackie were two perfect little doggies that I absolutely loved, and they loved me. And my friends moved to Missouri and took the dogs with them. And unfortunately, little Ori passed away last year, and it was heartbreaking. But I forgot to mention them, and I would never, ever mean to do that. And I can't believe I did that. A fault of mine to forget something like that. So it kind of goes with the topic of this subject. But thank you for listening to me. And today I feel like I was rambling on about myself, and I hope maybe you identified with some of this. A little, like I said, a little self-introspection does not hurt. Well, little self-examination. It's good to know yourself, and it's good to stick to your values and your convictions and your faith. And it's good to be you, and don't let anybody sway you from being you or keep you from being you. Always be yourself, and don't let anybody tell you any different, and don't let anybody discourage you. We are all passengers in this journey on life, and we all take different paths, and be respectful of everybody, and try to put yourself in their place. So I'm wrapping this up. I'm Leonard Riggs. This is my podcast for my head of yours. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for listening. I love it. I'll be back next week or so with another episode. Until then, Auf Wiedersehen.